We've taken over at Tottenham Hotspur with the sole aim of making them the best club in the world. Last season we lost the Carabao Cup, but qualified for the Champions League and won our first FA Cup in over 3 decades. And in today's episode, with a new season upon us, the transfer window open and some big decisions to be made about certain players in the squad, it's time to get down to business. And as ever, if you are enjoying the series so far, please feel free to like and subscribe, and let's get into today's episode. Before we do that though, it's time for the boys to celebrate last season's FA Cup success in style, with an open-top bus parade across North London. It's the first time in a long time that the Spurs fans have seen their players celebrate with a trophy, and they'll surely be hoping it's the first of many more to come. However, now it's time for the hard work to get started once again, and as always, we're starting off with your comments. For next season, I think you should sell Højbjerg and replace him with Conor Gallagher, as he was linked with Spurs in the transfer window and would be a realistic option in my opinion. Now, to be honest, I'm kind of reluctant to sell Højbjerg this summer, and there are a few reasons why. First and foremost, with him being rated 85, he is my highest rated midfielder in the club alongside Rodrigo Bentancur, and I think I would struggle to bring in a realistic replacement for the Dane who could operate either at the same level or even better. However, with him being 28 years of age and only having 12 months left on his contract, perhaps there are legs in the idea of potentially selling him this summer. Let me know down in the comments below what you think. Should I keep or should I sell Pierre-Emile Højbjerg? Now, Conor Gallagher is quite an interesting option to potentially replace him. He's 4 years younger and he's homegrown, plus he offers us Premier League experience. It looks like Everton have snatched him up from Chelsea on this career mode, but I'm sure if he was given the option to make the jump back to London and back to a team playing in Champions League, he would be more than happy to do so. I think you should get Jota, as he's heavily linked with Spurs even though he's just joined Saudi. He wasn't picked for their team, so I think he could be the best option. I would like Kubo as well, as he would also be very realistic. So yeah, Jota is definitely one that has been named a couple of times, and obviously with his realistic links to Spurs in real life and his links to Ange Postecoglou, it's no surprise to see both his name and Tottenham's name put together several times over the transfer window. As for Kubo, he has been named by so many different people. You have flooded the comments desperate for me to sign the young Japanese man, and with him being left-footed and offering a lot of versatility in wide and central areas, he's clearly got some quality to add to the squad. After stellar performances this season, I'm sure big clubs like Real Madrid, Barcelona and Bayern Munich are going to come after your players, so to make it realistic and challenging, accept the first 3 offers from big teams or teams you reckon would suit the storyline of that player. Now, it's funny you should say that, because now I think is the perfect time to talk about this man, Destiny Udogie. Now, last season he was able to rack up a total of 39 appearances in all competitions, but according to him, that still wasn't enough game time that he wanted, and so frustratingly he has decided to hand in a transfer request. Now, obviously with him being 21 years of age and already 81 rated, he is someone I would be desperately keen to keep at the club, but when a team like Barcelona come in for you with an offer of £40.2 million, it's kind of hard for him not to have his head turned. And so after managing to negotiate an even better deal with Barcelona legend Xavi, it is with some serious regret that we see our first casualty of the Tottenham Hotspur squad this summer, as Destiny Udogie departs from Tottenham Hotspur Football Club for a fee of £48.4 million to Barcelona. Now, his departure has helped lift our transfer budget up to £156 million this summer. Now, I can either use that cash to try and bolster my defence by bringing in some big names on a very big transfer fee, or perhaps I can look slightly closer to home. Now, I've got a 24-year-old Ryan Sessegnon who played backup to Udogie last season and has kind of been in and out of the Spurs team ever since he joined due to injury several years ago. I've got a 27-year-old Sergio Reguilon who spent last season on loan at Manchester United, and whilst technically he is now my highest rated left back at 80, with him only having 11 months left on his contract and with the club looking to move him on in real life, realistically, I've added him to the transfer list as he's probably going to be someone to look to depart Tottenham this summer. Or I can look at what I think is the most attractive option and try to bring through a player who has got Tottenham Hotspur Football Club running through his veins. Now, Sergio Ayala joined the club at 16 years of age, and he's come through my youth academy to be promoted to the senior team, and he is now currently on loan at Leeds United. He made his debut for the club last season and showed that he wasn't fazed by the occasion at all by picking up the Man of the Match award. And with him impressing on loan at Leeds last season, and with him now moving up to a 69 rating, I think he is someone that has the potential to be an absolute superstar on the left-hand side of our defence. And so with that in mind, I have decided to recall him from his loan from Leeds and move him straight into my starting 11. It's a bold move, but I want to be seen as a manager who gives young players an opportunity to impress at the club. And if he can fill the void that Destiny Udogie has left behind last season, then I think we are going to have a real gem of a player on our hands. Now, the recurring storyline running through last season was the battle between Richarlison and Dusan Vlahovic up front. And trying to get the best out of those strikers forced me to change my formation altogether. And whilst Dusan Vlahovic did have a difficult start to life in Tottenham colours in the back end of the season, he did end up coming alive to become our top goal scorer for the season last year. However, with the return of this young man, Aleo Feliz, from his loan spell last season, I now have a huge decision to make up front. And so with that in mind, and after scouring through your comments, I have made the decision Dusan Vlahovic stays and the Brazilian number 9 Richarlison will depart, as Aston Villa have decided to splash the cash, more specifically £45.3 million, to secure the 27-year-old services. And it seems like his departure has then kicked open the revolving door at the club, starting with Chelsea continuing their pattern of overspending on average players that perhaps they don't need, as they have decided to splash up £32.7 million on Manor Solomon. And with Sergio Reguilon seemingly doing enough to impress another Premier League club on his loan spell at Manchester United last season, Aston Villa have also decided to splash the cash once again, this time £17.9 million on the Spaniard. Japhet Tanganga is the next man to depart, as Brighton have decided to snap him up for £8.6 million. And with Jed Spence failing to nail down a place in both my team on career mode and Ange Postecoglou's team in real life, Fulham have decided to make a punt on the young man. £12 million later, he departs as well. And finally, having spent a season on loan at a French team a couple of seasons ago, Joe Rodon has decided to go back to France, this time to RC Lens, for £7.4 million. And on top of that, we've also got some loan departures from some of my younger players. Pep Matassar goes out on loan for 12 months to Brentford. Alfie Devine will go on loan for a year to Club Bruges. George Medina will go out on loan to Burnley. And finally, Ashley Phillips will also go out on loan, this time to West Brom. And so with those departures now giving us a colossal £275 million in the transfer budget, it is time to get down to work to improving this squad. Now, to be fair, looking at the starting 11, obviously with the exception of youngster Ayala at left back, all of my team is pretty decent, with them all of them being in the high 80s. However, with my captain Heung-min Son now 32 years of age, with his contract expiring in 11 months, and with his rating already going down by -1 to 87 even before we've kicked a ball at the start of the season, perhaps it's now time for me to consider bringing in a new long-term replacement for the South Korean. And after seeing your numerous comments down below across the entire series, there is realistically only one man that I could turn to. He's a man who at youth level's got experience playing for the likes of Barcelona and Real Madrid, a man who's racked up over 42 appearances for Real Sociedad in La Liga, and someone who's got 27 appearances at the highest level for his national team. It's another incredibly exciting attacking talent ready to join the club, as Takefusa Kubo joins Tottenham Hotspur Football Club for £45 million. Now, Kubo primarily plays his football on the right-hand side of midfield, and with him being left-footed, and with me liking inverted wingers, I kind of don't really want to shift him onto the left-hand side right now. However, with Brennan Johnson being right-footed and starting the North London derby against Arsenal in real life on the left-hand side of midfield, he potentially could be the right man to move across. So I am going to change his development plan to be focused on a left winger, and as you can see, it really only should take him a couple of weeks. Now, despite me still having £224 million left to spend, I actually think my squad is looking in pretty decent shape. As I said, the starting 11 is absolutely sensational, and I'm really struggling to see where I can improve it. And as for the bench, I think we've got some really exciting young talent to choose from. And so for now, I think I'm going to leave Kubo as my only signing so far in this window. And as for anyone else, well, this is where you come in. Let me know down in the comments below, where do you think I can improve this starting 11? Where do you think I can improve my entire squad? And what type of players would you like to see me splash this £224 million on? And so with the players ready for pre-season and Kubo hoping to impress for the first time in a Spurs shirt, it looks like Vicario is very keen to kick off from where he left off last season. However, a tap-sober red card just 10 minutes into his first game shows that he's still showing a little bit of ring rust, having not played much last season. And as an exciting talent as Kubo will hopefully be, perhaps he still needs a little bit of work and can composure in front of goal. However, before we start off our Premier League campaign, due to our FA Cup success last season, we have the small matter of a Community Shield game against Premier League champions Manchester City to get the season underway. City will be hoping to get their season off to a good start, but we will be hoping to collect our second trophy in only a matter of months. It's Tottenham, it's Manchester City at Wembley. It's the Community Shield. To Kulusevski. Oh, lovely done to get away from 2-3 players. Beautiful stuff. And Kulusevski plays a fabulous ball into Pedro Porro. Tries to think it back across into the path of Maddison, but it was good defending in the end. Vlahovic now for Spurs. We've started off the opening 10 minutes in fine form. Cuts it back into the path of Kulusevski. Back to Højbjerg. There was no one in the box when I needed them to be. And the attack has slightly broken down, but Pedro Porro will try and fire it across. Well saved by Ederson. Haaland into Matheus Nunes. Out wide to Jack Grealish. These two teams going head to head. And it is a real ding-dong battle here as we wing the ball again. Kulusevski, can I try and feed this over the top? I was looking for James Maddison and got it all wrong. McAtee for Manchester City to Bob. It looks like they're playing quite a few youth players here. Perhaps they're not taking the Community Shield as seriously as we are, but Haaland is. He tried to strike from distance. It was well intercepted and blocked from my defenders. Bob for City down the right-hand side, being chased down by Pavard really well. Pavard, though, is unable to put the challenge in. It's out to McAtee, into Haaland. Oh, he's gone wide. Maddison into Højbjerg, nicely done. Into Vlahovic. He turns and going to try and look for Bentancur, who's in an acres of space. Bentancur, though, can he feed this into Højbjerg? Yes, he can. And Højbjerg's in. Højbjerg! It's 1-0 Spurs. Well, Højbjerg celebrates. The man who I was being asked to transfer list at the start of the season has clearly heard the rumours and clearly does not want to leave Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Fabulous piece of play. Lovely ball from Rodrigo Bentancur into his midfield partner. And Højbjerg on the edge of the penalty spot just smashed it into the top left-hand corner. Ederson had no chance. And the Dane gives us a 1-0 lead at Wembley. Pedro Porro in field for Vlahovic. Nicely done. Vlahovic finds Kulusevski. Kulusevski drives into the box. Going to try and look for Heung-min Son at the back post. Well cleared by Luis. Ayala. Nice pass into Maddison. Maddison skips away into Bentancur. And Bentancur with a fine strike to give us a 2-goal lead. Well, it's all opening up here in the midfield and Manchester City's defence was undone. Rodrigo Bentancur had a hand in the first. And he got his name on the score sheet for the second. 2-0 Spurs. Vlahovic into Kulusevski. Kulusevski has got acres of space down this right-hand side to run into, but instead he drives into the penalty area and to put the game to bed. He does just that. Well, in their attempt to try and press us high up the pitch to try and win the ball in our half, they have left acres of space for our players to run into, and Kulusevski took full advantage. A fabulous finish with his left foot. It is 3-0 at Wembley. And it is time for Cuba to make his official debut in a Spurs shirt as he will come on the right-hand side of midfield for Kulusevski. Looks like it's going to be De Bruyne who's going to take the corner, and it looks like he's going to go short. He does go short to Jack Grealish. They will be desperate to get at least a consolation goal for pride, if anything, as Grealish tries to drive into the box. Well defended by Pedro Porro, and it's been the story of the game as Cubo now, with his first proper dribble in a competitive Spurs game, tried to play a ball through into the path of the striker, but it was just offside. McAtee on the right-hand side for City now. Going to try and fire it across, presumably. Just dinks it across instead, and Phil Foden gets there ahead of Christian Romero. And City have the goal. Well, it's been a pretty poor display overall from City here. And Vicario, though, will be absolutely devastated that he hasn't been able to keep a clean sheet. Phil Foden just snuck in there ahead of a Romero who just fell asleep at the near post. And City have a consolation goal back, 3-1. But it turns out that that will be the last chance of the game as the Spurs players celebrate. It's our second trophy in only a matter of months. An incredibly professional performance all round here in the Community Shield final. And in Son's absence, it will be the man who was subject to some transfer speculation at the beginning of the season, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, lifts the Community Shield for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club as we get our season off to a cracking start. And after securing victory against one Manchester club, it's time for us to travel to Manchester in order to hope to do the same to another. It is Manchester United against Tottenham Hotspur Football Club at Old Trafford in our very first game of our new Premier League season. Our starting 11 is a similar theme to what it was last year, with the likes of Vicario starting in goal, Pedro Porro, Romero and Pavard in the centre of defence, with Sergio Ayala about to make his Premier League debut for the first time in a Tottenham shirt. Bentancur and Højbjerg make up the centre of the park, with the likes of Kulusevski, Maddison, Heung-min Son playing behind Vlahovic up front. Aleo Valiers and Kubo will both be hoping to make their first starts for Spurs in the Premier League in this career mode, as both of them make the bench. Down to Garnacho on the left-hand side, and look at this for space he's got. Where on earth is Pedro Porro? He's being chased down here by Højbjerg. Well intercepted and challenged there from Christian Romero, but where on earth was Pedro Porro? Pavard under a bit of pressure, but finds a nice lofted ball over to Pedro Porro on the right-hand side, who took it down well and finds Kulusevski. Can he find a man? And Heung-min Son at the back post? No, he can't, because Onana is there ahead of him. Maddison's come deep into Pavard under a bit of pressure, ends up losing the ball to Antony. Really cheap from him there. Donny van der Beek to bring it forward. Back into the path of Antony on the right-hand side. Drives into the penalty area. Lovely stuff to shift it onto his left. And Benjamin Pavard made amends with a block. Comes out to Garnacho on the edge of the box here. Nice pass into the path of Antony. He looks like he is in the mood to try and get himself on the score sheet. He was chased down by Romero. Dalot into the box though. Dalot continues. Oh, it's Ayala on his debut. Cool, calm and collected at the back. Brilliant piece of defending, and he does well to get the ball clear as Heung-min Son under pressure here. Pavard, United pressing relentlessly, and we just about managed to beat the press and get the ball clear with Højbjerg. Malacia into Christian Eriksen. It's been all Manchester United in this opening 30 minutes here as they look to impress in front of the home fans. Nice ball back to Garnacho, twisting away from Pedro Porro and Højlund. Oh, he was very close there if it were not for a Vicario save. Looks like they're going to go for a corner, and it looks like they're going to go short. They do go short. Christian Eriksen picks it up. The former Spurs man dances around the man who was brought in to replace him in James Maddison. But Benjamin Pavard with a good challenge. Gives it to Maddison. Can we try and hit them on the counter-attack here? Kulusevski plays it back to Maddison on the right-hand side. He's got space to run into here. I'm going to try and see if I can feed a ball into Vlahovic. It was good defending from Herrero. James Maddison to try and float this one into the penalty spot. Looks for Heung-min Son. It goes over the bar. Bruno Fernandes for United into Christian Eriksen. Eriksen into Garnacho. Into Højlund. Højlund into Antony. United threatening once again. Back into Højlund. Oh, it's fallen for Garnacho right in front of the 6-yard box. And he makes no mistake. Well, it was a nice piece of build-up play from United as Antony went past Ayala. And it was just unfortunate for Vicario. He went down to try and save, and it ended up bouncing into the path of Garnacho at an empty net to just smash the ball into. It's 1-0 Manchester United. Donny van der Beek into Højlund. Højlund's going to try and look for Garnacho. He finds him. Garnacho chased down by Romero, and Ayala can be the man to bring the ball away. Heung-min Son into James Maddison. Nice play into Rodrigo Bentancur. He's got Ayala over to the left-hand side, and he finds the overlapping run of the young Argentinian. He drives into the edge of the box, cuts it back into James Maddison, and James Maddison puts it wide. And with an hour on the clock, the time has come for our new signing Kubo to make his debut. He comes on for the captain Heung-min Son. He will switch to the right. Kulusevski will switch to the left. And he's got to try and see if he can find a way back into the game for us. Bruno Fernandes for Manchester United. Nice pass out to Malacia on the left-hand side. And he's gone past Pedro Porro, who again has fallen asleep there on this right-hand side of defence. He's one-on-one with him. Pedro Porro can't put a challenge in. Correa wins it. Good goalkeeping from Vicario. Going to be a corner to Manchester United that Antony is going to take. And he goes short to Bruno Fernandes. Fernandes with a bit of a wayward pass there. And that potentially was a big issue for Manchester United as James Maddison wins the ball back. He's going to play it into the path of Dusan Vlahovic, and Vlahovic drives into the box. Vlahovic to strike. Vlahovic to get us back on level terms. Well, that was all down to a woeful corner from Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes gave the ball away, and when Maddison was able to win it high up the pitch, he just fed in Vlahovic. And when you give that man that much time and space, he will make you pay. It's his first game of the season. It's his first goal of the Premier League. It's our first goal. It's 1-1 into Højbjerg. Højbjerg, though, challenged in the centre of the park, and it's fallen to Correa here down the middle into Garnacho. United looking to strike back immediately, but Benjamin Pavard is there with a brilliant piece of defending. Kulusevski, though, skips past the challenge of Luke Shaw and now releases Ayala down the left-hand side. He goes infield for Vlahovic. Vlahovic back to Ayala. End-to-end stuff here at Old Trafford as both teams look to try and see if they can get a winner. Good Goalkeeping from Onana there to block the cross. Kubo with his first real touch of the game. He's been fairly quiet since he's come on, and he finds Maddison. He's going to try and look for the return ball. He does find the return ball. Kubo back into Vlahovic, who tries to strike, and he puts it over the bar. Malacia for United. Only a couple of minutes remaining in this game, and other two teams. It now looks like it's going to be United who are going to be the most likely to find the winner. But Christian Romero with a brilliant challenge on Mason Mount. Leo on as a substitute for Vlahovic. Had the opportunity to play Kubo in there, and he didn't take advantage of it. The referee blows for full time. Well, an end-to-end game here at Old Trafford sees the two teams share the points in the Premier League opener. That man Vlahovic will be happy with his display, as his goal got us back on level terms. As at full time here, it finishes United 1, Spurs 1. It was a difficult start to our Premier League campaign, but a very positive start for Dusan Vlahovic. An assist in the Community Shield and a goal in his very first Premier League game this season. A much better start to life in his second season at the club than it was his first, and he will be hoping he can continue this fine form for the remainder of the season. It was a real baptism of fire for the young Argentinian, who unfortunately got done for the opening goal for Manchester United. Going forward, he was a threat, and overall his game was pretty good, but it is those little mistakes that the young man will be hoping to cut out as the season progresses. For now though, it's time for us to move on to our last game of the episode, but our first game back at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in the Premier League. And it's a game that sees us welcome Leicester City back to the Premier League, and one that we will be definitely looking to get 3 points from. Into Rodrigo Bentancur, going to try and fire a ball right the way over to Kulusevski on the right hand side. He's done a good job trying to get it down to James Maddison, but it's Harry Winks, the former Spurs man, to bring the ball forward for Leicester City. Cannon up front, out to Mavidi on the left-hand side. He tries to go past Pedro Porro, who hasn't had the best start to life so far this season. Harry Winks into the box, and Harry Winks looking to score against his former club, but Vicario was on hand to stop that from happening. Chowdhury for Leicester City. They look like they've started this game as they mean to go on. Dewsbury Hall in the centre of the park picks the ball up, unopposed, finds Mavidi on the left-hand side. He's trying to go past Christian Romero, instead goes back to Justin, gets it back from him. They're playing it around really nicely on the edge of my box here. Dewsbury Hall under a bit of pressure here, but Leicester City continue to go forward with the ball. We cannot seem to get it off them, and in the end, Kulusevski, fortunately enough, is the only man who's able to put a proper challenge in, and he brings the ball forward. And can he play a ball into James Maddison? He can. He tries to skip away from the challenge of the Leicester City defenders, instead turns, gives it to Højbjerg, has the momentum of this attack gone, but Kulusevski finds Pedro Porro, back into James Maddison. He tries to cut it back. I was looking for Vlahovic. Instead, it will be Pedro Porro to fire it over the bar. Benjamin Pavard finds Ayala on the left-hand side. Ayala goes inside for Bentancur. Really nice pass to the Argentinian. Into Heung-min Son. Heung-min Son cuts it back to Ayala, who's drifted infield. Finds a nice ball looking for Kulusevski. He just couldn't get there. Tried to find Harry Winks, who looks like he's playing in quite an advanced position for Leicester City here, as Mavidi drives into the box on the left-hand side, looking to cut back in, looking for an option. Instead goes all the way back to the centre-back, but they keep the attacking move alive with Dewsbury Hall to strike, and it's a good save from Vicario. Dewsbury Hall with the corner. Out of the two teams, you have to say, Leicester City have been the most likely to score here, as bouncing around inside my penalty area, Bentancur will clear it for half-time. Harry Winks for Leicester City, been an ever-present in the heart of their central midfield so far in this game, but he's challenged by James Maddison, and he's challenged well. Kulusevski back into Maddison. We're going to try and look to build here as Benjamin Pavard brings it out from defence into Ayala. Ayala into Vlahovic, who's been fairly quiet so far, and he just can't seem to get it in a decent position as Leicester clear the ball. Heung-min Son into Kulusevski, tried to turn, but James Justin was one step ahead of him and managed to intercept. And now that's a wonderful ball out to McAteer on the right-hand side. He's held up by Romero, but manages to skip past him. Ayala desperately trying to track back here. It's back into the box, and it's a brilliant save from Vicario again. Heung-min Son wins the ball high, and Vlahovic has it. Vlahovic feeds it into Heung-min Son, and Son drives into the box. Heung-min Son, it's 1-0 Spurs. Well, it was the South Korean who won the ball back high up the pitch anyway, gave it to Vlahovic, who fed it back to him, and Heung-min Son with a fine finish to give us a 1-0 lead at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Into James Maddison. Surely now we've got our tails up here. We can hopefully see if we can get a second goal to see this game off. As Bentancur into Heung-min Son. James Maddison tries to feed in Vlahovic. Couldn't quite find him though. Cannon for Leicester City out wide to Mavidi, but it's well challenged by Pedro Porro. And he finds Kulusevski. Kulusevski in field to Højbjerg. Højbjerg with a nice ball into James Maddison. I'm going to try and feed it into Dusan Vlahovic, and he's just straight offside. Finds Brennan Johnson on the left-hand side, who's come on as a substitute, and he feeds in Aleo Feliz, who's also come on as a sub. Brennan Johnson back into the box, looks for Heung-min Son, and Heung-min Son gets his second, and he gets our second, and surely he puts this game to bed. Tries to play a ball back to Ayala, got it a little bit wrong, and now Preston Daka can bring the ball forward for Leicester City. He's got the pace to go past Benjamin Pavard, doesn't have any options in the box, but checks it back to Ricardo Pereira, and he just fires it against Christian Romero. Bit of a let-off for us there. Heung-min Son out to Ayala, who has been up and down this left flank with aplomb so far in this game. He cuts it back inside, looking for Veliz. Veliz just couldn't get there in time. And that is that for the end of the game. Heung-min Son will take the plaudits as his 2 goals are enough to give us a 2-0 win. As at full time here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, it finishes Spurs 2, Leicester City 0. Well, the men who have been a little bit under the cosh at the beginning of this episode, the likes of Heung-min Son and the likes of Dusan Vlahovic and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, all stepping up to the plate when I needed them to. A draw and a victory gives us 4 points and puts us in 5th place so far in the Premier League after just 2 games. But a 3-1 win against Manchester City in the Community Shield puts the icing on the cake of what has been a pretty successful episode. And with £240 million still left in the budget, let me know down in the comments below who else you want to be seeing plying their trade in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt this season, and where do you think we can improve our squad in order to take the team to the next level. Thanks everyone for watching today, and I'll see you again next time.